Okay, how's it going fellas? We're back again really soon this time with the most overrated Mario Kart track from every game. You know what an overrated track is, I don't gotta tell you that. This time there are more tracks that could have been swapped out, but I'm satisfied with my choices in the end. And to be clear, just because I think these tracks are overrated doesn't mean I think they're bad. For the most part. I'm going to be a lot harsher to these tracks than I was to the underrated ones, so buckle up, you're in for a treat. Anyway, with all that garbage out of the way, let's take a look as to what I believe to be the most overrated track from every Mario Kart game. Let's be real, Rainbow Road from Super Mario Kart is by far the most overrated track in the game, and it's not even a little bit close. You either love this track or you hate it. There's not really an in-between. Personally, I absolutely hate this track. It's garbage and I genuinely don't understand how anyone enjoys it. It hurts my eyes to look at, the song isn't very good, and it's really disappointing. Now, one thing I'll say to defend this track is that it was Nintendo's first attempt at Rainbow Road, so they're not going to get it perfect the first try, but the track still blows, so that's not my problem. If you like this track, then go get better taste in Mario Kart tracks, please and thank you. Told you I wasn't holding back. Now on to the next one. Okay, time for a spicy one. Mario Kart 64's most overrated track is easily Calamari Desert, and yet another track I'm not the biggest fan of. Oh, but there's a cool train you can follow through the tunnel. I don't care. It is a boring desert track with barely anything on it, and we already have too many of those. Like, dude, I don't think I can name a single good desert track off the top of my head. The song is actually pretty good and I enjoy it quite a bit, but for the most part, that's the only real praise I can give this track. It's a shame really. Desert tracks have a lot of potential, but most of them are just really boring. At least Calamari Desert has a different colour palette compared to the rest, so I guess that's something. I was back and forth about what to choose for Super Circuit, but I ended up going with Cheeseland. The track is fine, I guess. I'm not crazy about it, but I can see why it would be high up on people's Super Circuit rankings. The retro track in 8 is complete garbage, but that's for another day. Like Super Circuit's other tracks, the track itself is pretty basic. You get to drive through the land of cheese, I know, wild, it shocked me too. There's some ramps you get to jump off of, and these cool little mouse dudes you have to try and avoid. Again, while I'm not Cheeseland's biggest fan, it is a lot better than most of Super Circuit's tracks, but that's not really hard to do, and the remake in 8 deserved way better. Let me just say this in advance, you're not gonna like what I have to say about DK Mountain. I'm sure we can all agree that it's by far Double Dash's most overrated track and possibly even a top 3 overrated track in the entire series. But DK Mountain is complete garbage, and I have never enjoyed this track. Not in Double Dash, not in Wii, not in 8. This track sucks. If you hate DK Mountain as much as I do, then you're a real one. I genuinely don't know how this track is so popular. There's so many tracks out there that are just infinitely better and it did not deserve 2 whole remakes. Oh, but you get to launch out of a cannon and drive down an entire mountain. Sorry, I didn't quite hear you, I fell asleep. DK Snowboard Cross did it way better. End of story. In conclusion, this track blows, and if you enjoy it, seek help. So there's 3 tracks in Mario Kart DS that could have easily taken the spot. Tick-Tock Clock, Airship Fortress, and Waluigi Pinball. 3 of the most beloved tracks in the entire series. But after some thought, I decided to go with Airship Fortress. But trust me, if I could have all 3 in here, I would. Airship Fortress is a very unique track based on Super Mario Bros. 3. It involves you driving into a fleet of bullet bills, driving through the airship avoiding rocky wrenches? Interesting name. Then you drive through the inside of the airship, get shot out of a cannon, and drive down the spiral tower and into the finish line. This track has it all. And I don't like it very much. Yeah, that's sort of been a running theme in this video. I will admit this is the coolest track of the video so far, but I don't know, I've just never been a huge fan. Okay, so we all agree Coconut Mall is Mario Kart Wii's most overrated track, right? Wonderful. So I'm taking a different approach this time, keeping the current theme of tracks I don't like very much, you know? I like Coconut Mall a lot, but a track I don't like and is also insanely overrated is Koopa Cape. Okay, so one of the reasons I'm including this is to call out my friend Maya. She absolutely loves this track and will never let it go. One day we'll convince you to leave the dark side and become a true Koopa Cape hater. Anyway, I know this is really generic to say, but Koopa Cape is honestly just one of those tracks that's become so beloved to the point I just don't care for it at all. Similar to DK Mountain from Double Dash. I never enjoyed it as a kid and I don't enjoy it now. MKWii has so many iconic tracks, but this one just doesn't quite meet the mark for me. The only decent part of this track is the end with the underwater tunnel and spark pylons, and those aren't even in the newer versions, so yeah, track is just whatever. Moving on. Just like Mario Kart 7's most underrated, the most overrated was super difficult to decide on. This game is full of forgettable and less memorable tracks that it was hard to choose an overrated one, but in the end I decided to go with Mario Circuit. Now you may be a bit confused as to why such a basic track like this made it in, and to be honest with you, there's only one real reason I chose it. It's the fact that you can drive into and up Peach's castle. Apparently a lot of people love this, but it's just a ramp and lasts about 5 seconds. I guess this is like an upgraded version of driving up to Peach's Castle in MK64, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. The track is good, don't get me wrong, but the whole concept of driving through Peach's Castle could have been done so much better. Mario Kart 8 is absolutely littered with overrated tracks. Sunshine Airport, Electrodrome, Mount Wario, etc. All tracks I absolutely love, but sadly, I'm gonna go with none of them actually. The track I've gone with is actually Cloudtop Cruise. Now this is probably a bit surprising considering the Goliaths I just mentioned, but hear me out. I just don't really get this track. Everywhere I go, all I see is people giving it praise and ranking it high on their track lists, but I just don't see what's so good about it. Maybe it's the Gusty Garden throwback, maybe it's something else. To me, it's just a fine track and I consider it extremely overrated, but maybe I'm the one who needs better taste. Anyway, let's see what the last track is. If you know me, you know I don't really care about Mario Kart Tour, but I gave it a bit more thought this time, and I've gone with Sky High Sundae as Tour's most overrated track. There's no way I was choosing a city track, since I don't think any of them are overrated, so I've gone with the Fall Guys level. This track is fine. From what I've seen online, people like this track a lot more than I do, but I don't really get it. Tour has way cooler non-city tracks than this. I will admit, the concept of the track is cool, driving over and through massive ice creams and other desserts, but look at the map. Seem familiar? Yeah, it's just a bigger baby park but with cooler scenery. Again, I'm not Mario Kart Tour's biggest fan, so take this one with a grain of salt. That has been the most overrated track from every Mario Kart game. If you made it this far, thanks a lot for watching, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, be sure to check out my previous video where I talk about Mario Kart's most underrated tracks. I have no idea when my next video will be out since my big project is going to take a lot of work, so maybe expect another Mario Kart video before then, but I don't know, that might change. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you thought down in the comments. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and have a good one.